What's up, guys? Burning Gas here. We're going to bring you a bit of an informative video this time. I get a lot of comments on my intake mod video and questions, so I'm just going to go over some stuff that I think you guys should know. First of all, do not use JB Weld. It didn't end up working for me, and this piece, the bottom piece, actually ended up falling into the valley pan, which luckily there is a cover there. I guess you can't really see too well, but there was no damage done. Just so when you cut this open and you do your work inside, when you're all done, take this to your local aluminum welder or metal shop and have this seam welded properly. Another thing, in my first video with the intake mod, I collapsed this line here that sticks out of the back side of it. And what that line is to relieve the crank pressure and the engine. So if you guys have watched the video with the engine squeaking noise, that was actually self-induced, caused by blocking this line, which didn't allow this to vent through the intake, which is going to bring me to my second issue, because as I mentioned in the first video, it's no sense to do this intake mod if you're not going to run a bigger throttle body. So even if you don't block this off, if you leave this open, chances are when you put the new throttle body on, you're possibly going to get that squeak and squealing noise, because what there is there's a hole in this top corner of the stock throttle body that even when the throttle's closed, it can breathe. See the light there? So what I ended up doing, and I'm going to show you guys, was I had to do a little bit of tinker work to the throttle body that I put on, the 87 mil. So that being said, literally you can pretty much go by the first video, but I'd recommend do not collapse that line, because when you collapse that line, then the engine can't vent at all. And what I ended up doing was putting a vent line into my oil cap and just tapping it into the intake, which, you know, that's extra work, extra stuff that you don't really need to put yourself through. So myself personally, I'd leave that line open, and down the road I may even take this intake and modify it, leave that pipe open, put it on my truck just so I can put it all back to normal. But it's not too big of a deal either way you go. It's still going to be a major performance gain. So that being said, you know, when you get this open, just grind, chip, die grind away all your stuff that doesn't need to be there. There's basically a whole plate underneath there, as you see in the first video. So what I'm going to do next is, I said also, I believe in the intake mod video the first time, was I'm actually going to pull this 87 mil throttle body off, and I'm going to bore it out a bit with the die grinder, because it's got a real bad lip in the bottom of it, which most of these GM throttle bodies do. You know, as you can see, this one not so bad. That's the top side. These ones aren't really a great example, but when I get the other one off the truck here in a minute, I'll show you guys what it looks like, show you what I did to fix the squeaking, squealing problem, either way you go about it. And also with my cam, the truck was a little fussy and still is to get it to idle. So the little mod that I did to the new 87 mil throttle body helps that out quite a bit. And the only other thing, if you guys haven't watched before, you know, please subscribe. It helps me out. The X-Link. A lot of you, if you are doing this, or planning to do this, again, no sense to put yourself through this if you're not going to upgrade to a better throttle body. Like, this is literally the same throttle body that's on a 4.8, a 5.3, a 6 liter, and this is a 496. So clearly that's, you know, a major performance performance issue. So in order to run the new throttle body, you got to buy what's called an X-Link adapter. And for me here in Nova Scotia, Corvettes are few and far between, so it was easier for me to get the 87 mil compared to the 90. So again, that being said, I'm pulling this throttle body off, and we're going to die grind the hump out of the bottom of it, and I'll show you what I did to help this squeaking issue that you'll develop if you go through this. Okay guys, so what I ended up doing was I drilled a small hole right in the blade of the new 87 mil throttle body. And that compensates for this hole not being in this design. And the other thing I want you to see is, see these major humps here? So those are restriction, and essentially that's what we're going to be removing. So I'm going to get the die grinder out, and I'm going to cut this whole hump probably right out of this throttle body. And if your throttle body has one of those, you know, this is all, I'm not telling you to do this, you do this on your own, but in most applications, you'll notice again after you grind this out and do what I'm about to do. And if you're not familiar with metal and how stuff works, grinding aluminum or shaving aluminum, whatever you want to call it, most of the time will end up making your bits dirty. It won't want to spit it out. WD-40 is like the magical cutting oil of God if you are doing any kind of grinding or stuff to aluminum. So just a little tip for you guys. You know, I try to share some knowledge, not everything I know, but this is definitely one great trick if you're trying to do anything with aluminum, drilling, grinding, chiseling away, using a rotator tool. That's the stuff you want to use for a cutting oil. So I'm going to get this set up in the vise, get my die grinder out, and have at her. As you can see, we're chewing away. I won't bore you with this anymore. I'll shut her off and get her done and show you the finished result. Well, there it is, guys. Like I said, you don't really gain a whole bunch, but you know, a few millimeters is a few millimeters. So we just shave that bottom edge, not quite completely off. There's still a bump there, but get it that it's the same size as the throttle blade anyhow. And then our hole in the center, not to be forgotten, especially if this is an 8-1 project. So I guess back together, shouldn't be no tuning required for that little bit of, you know, that little bit of gain. You won't have to tune for that, so don't be scared to try this. And enjoy your day, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hey guys, I just want to show you another cool trick. How to get a clutch fan off real easy. Let's see.
See that, boys and girls? Little air hammer action for you. You just crack her on the edge.